Back it's 8:09. No, now it's 8:10 on a Wednesday. Michigan Insider, Sports Talk 1050, WTKA. Online at WTKA.com. We're live here inside the Suburban Chevrolet Make the Choice Studios. And you know what that music means. It means it's the time of the show where we talk to Marcus Ray. Get some rays of light from my man M-Ray29. So first of all, Marcus, how you doing, man? We have so much to talk about. I want to start off first saying, how are you today?
Man, I'm doing extremely well, Sam. I can't complain. I'm excited, man. We need to get right to it, brother.
All right, so you know you're my guy, right, Marcus? I said before we went to the break, you're my guy. I talk you up. I talk about all the great things you're doing. I talk about how, Marcus said he's getting back down to playing weight. He's going to be running that 4-5 again sooner rather than later. And then Marlon Jackson comes in studio yesterday. We're sitting down having a great conversation. If you missed that, go to the podcast, pull it down on WTK.com. And we're talking about his Go Blue Bowl, the charitable event that he has coming up on April 4th. Fans can go out. A lot of former Wolverines going to be participating, including Marcus Ray. It'll be 5 o'clock over at Pioneer High School on April 4th. But Marcus, then he tells me that, no, Marcus is not playing. He's coaching. And I'm thinking, well, what? Huh? Marcus is not playing. Marcus, now what's going on, man? Why is number 29 not going to be on the football field that day?
First of all, I'm uncoachable. I don't want to listen to nobody. I want to direct traffic that day, but I did tell Marlon, if my players are not going to perform at a high level, then I will step out of the booth, and I'll lace them up, and I'll run quarterback and lead my team to victory. And I'm going to be a player/coach, but I'm going to play in emergency situations, but I'm going to coach first. I'm going to try to get some other people to do some great things and give them a chance to play because it's about them. But if they don't compete and get out there and do it the Michigan way, then I'm going to line up, and I'm going to play quarterback. And nobody can deal with me at flag football quarterback. And I'm going to drop back and I'm going to let it rip.
Here's the thing, Marcus. I mean, you're going to have an advantage over some of the guys. Maybe not the guys that are currently playing in the NFL, but it is always the case that you get some guys that haven't run around in a while out there, haven't done much athletically. You, on the other hand, have been putting it in the gym, so you're going to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah, my hoop game is impeccable. So, my stamina is going to be right. My hand-eye will be back. I'll be a few pounds lighter. And then, once I step on that field, I'm a different human being. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun event. We were out the other night when I saw Marlon, and it's just an honor to be a part of it. So, I'm ready to play. I'm ready to go and just be a part of something special, something, it's always – life's about being a part of something bigger than yourself, and that's another opportunity to participate in such an event.
I enjoy the opportunity to let people in on just, he's got some great guys. Marlon Jackson is just a great dude, and I think people are really getting a feel for that with the work that he's doing. But at the same time, people have gotten that impression from you, from all the things you've been doing with Rays of Light. You guys, not just you, but a lot of former players coming together to answer that call to really give back, to really help out not only this community, but Marlon back in the Indianapolis community. It's kind of like, your brother makes a call and you answer it, and that's what you guys are doing coming up on Friday, April 4th.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Sam. When a Wolverine calls, then you respond, and that's the Michigan way. We were bred that way from the culture and the tradition that we played in, and something that we were a part of. We've been doing that ever since the first day you step on campus. That's what you learn. You're there for your teammates in every way imaginable, and not only your teammates, but guys that you didn't play with, guys that wore that helmet and went through the same exact situation and struggle that you faced. That's why I spent so much time yesterday at that alumni dinner, Michigan alumni dinner, where we had former players mentoring current players, and man, I had about 10 guys at my table, and I didn't just talk about broadcasting and broadcast media. I talked about life. I talked about what it takes to be a Michigan man, in how our 97 team, won the championship. So anytime you get a chance to reach out and talk to any Wolverine, past, present, or future, it's a big deal because we all are cut from the same cloth and we all want the same thing. So when Marlon called me a couple of weeks ago and he invited me out, I didn't hesitate. I just said, "What's the date? Sign me up. I'm one of the best to ever play flag football." Anytime I get a chance to compete and especially beat up on some of your teammates. That's what we do at Michigan. We like to beat up on one another and have fun doing it and then laugh about it afterwards because we're all competitive and we always play on the same team or for the same school. We never get a chance to compete against one another, especially to help out another cause, and that's what it's all about.
Now, Marcus, I'm going to tell you, remember the last time you talked about being a knockout artist, we actually got some calls calling in saying, what is Marcus talking about? So
yeah, they was hating, Sam. Those are some very hateful phone calls, and a lot of guys didn't want to be honest and give it up. That's because I knocked out a lot of their friends. But you know what? It's just one of the things where we got to get Bromley to draw up a tape. I'm going to put a tape together, and I'm going to throw it on YouTube. There's going to be a lot of people mad. Let's just put it like that.
Yeah, man. The mentorship opportunities, and Marlon was talking about that yesterday as well. Another way in which you give back. Certainly not going to ask you to get into everything you talked about, but who were some of the guys that you got a chance to talk to yesterday?
Oh, yesterday I spent some time with Devin Funchess, Chris Bryant, Kyle Kalis, Frank Clark, Paco Charlton, Matthew Godden. I believe his last name is Godden.
Yeah.
Who else? A few other guys too. It because the way it was set up, we had a station or an area, kind of like it was career day for Michigan football is what it was, so they could rotate between stations. But once they came over to that corner that I sat in, they didn't leave. And I spent some time with Devin Gardner, some of the usual suspects. I spoke with the young corner coming in,
Brandon Watson.
Yeah, Brandon Watson. Freddie Cantine, he walked up to me. We spent some time. I spent about a half hour with Joe Bolden. And the thing that surprised them the most, at least the guys that are on the team now, is I watch every game. I break down film. So we talked about football. We talked about life and life after football and just being a Michigan man and what it means. And those guys, they were in tune. Their antennas were up. They were listening. So not only were they networking, they were trying to figure out, hey, how do we do it? Because you guys did it. And I told them, we're the last team to even win the Rose Bowl. Let's not even talk about a national championship. We're just the last team to even win the Rose Bowl, period. And I said, it's been 10 years now since we've even busted the grape in the conference, and we're all waiting. And we just talked about some of the challenges and struggles that they faced. They asked about being a part of a losing team for a while. Not a losing team, but a team that didn't win the conference. How did we turn it around? So, man, it was a great experience. Clay Miller and Sherry Acho, they put together a monumental event. It was like 83, former player, coaches, and trainers that came back to speak there. But Sam, I'm gonna tell you right now, they were locked in. So I didn't just talk about being on the Big Ten Network or how I got there. I went all the way back. I told them that their scholarship is a blank check that they can fill out and somebody else will sign. And I'm not talking about football. And I said, you can be what you want to be and somebody else will pay for it, regardless if you're a great player. I said, I was one of the best players on my team, but I got some guys that I played with that are doing so well in other areas. It didn't matter. That's why people only remember the super, super great ones, and they truly remember your team. And I told Kyle Kalis, I know you missed a few blocks. I watched the tape, and he was amazed that I was able to regurgitate or tell him what I saw. And then, Jordan Lewis walked past me, and I wanted to say, hey, Jordan, it's 3rd and 9, cover 4, and you're going to let Devin Smith run right by you? What's going on? But he kept moving too fast. Those young players, but they were so, excited to know. But I used the broadcasting breakdown to tell them about themselves. You have to be prepared. You got to study tape. So they were locked in.
Great stuff, Marcus. We're talking to Marcus Ray, Rays of Light, here on the Michigan Insider on Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, online at WTK.com. So let's move into a realm that you didn't have to deal with, at least knowingly, Marcus, and that's a locker room scenario in which there is an openly gay athlete, which is what Michael Sam will be in the event he is drafted and makes it to the NFL. My question to you is, do you feel like now, here and now, you see some of the quotes, there are a lot of players that say, oh, yeah, the NFL locker room is absolutely ready for this. The NFL is ready for this. There are some nameless general managers, though, that question it. What do you think, first of all, of Michael Sam's decision to come out publicly, how and when he did, and what do you think his transition into the NFL is going to be like?
Well, honestly, I didn't really see the point of him coming out. I think that's private business. I mean, I think there are players who have played in the league who are of the other preference or are homosexual, and nobody knew. And I don't think people openly announce, "Hey, I like women." So I think your preferences, that's your life, that's your business, and you don't, in my opinion, you don't need to come out unless you're seeking some type of attention. I mean, we live in a world today where you can get exposure for anything. You can get 15 good minutes of fame almost for anything, whether you're an average person or a player. So, I just don't think he should have came out because I think I don't really have a problem with him being a homosexual in an NFL locker room. I really don't. I mean, at that stage, I think you're there to do a job. You're getting paid. I think it's just like any other job. If you found out, I know football is different, but I think if you found out someone had a different preference than you, that shouldn't matter. If you're working for the same company, then you're trying to achieve the same goals. It wouldn't bother me as a man. I'm secure in my manhood. And I wouldn't feel all freaked out and want him to have his own locker room. That's for the immature. It's 2014. Life is different. More things are being accepted. People are who they are. The homosexual movement is at an all-time high. They have more rights than they have ever had. They have a voice. And so eventually it's going to get everywhere. NBA, MLB, golf, football, and then you just got to deal with it. You got to accept it. We're all human beings. We're all of the same race, and that's the human race. And if somebody's different, that's their preference, and they shouldn't be alienated or discriminated against for their preference. I just don't think he should have came out because I don't think there was a reason to come out unless he's probably looking to get some type of reality show, some book deal, or maybe even a movie just in case the NFL don't work. So that's why I think we're giving it too much attention. But he jumped out there, and this was an opportunity for the media world to just run with it.
So what about this as a rationale, Marcus? Because he came out to his team last year, and we heard nothing about it. And his team went on to great success. But when he went down to the Senior Bowl, he said, wait, this seems to be something that people know about, that they're talking about, whispering about. And rather than have that be hidden beneath the surface, under a veil, so to speak, potentially impact his draft stock, what about the idea that, hey, first of all, I come out and say, yes, it's true. Second of all, by doing that, by announcing that it's true, you know what, I put the onus on the NFL even more to give a lot of scrutiny to the merits of my game, because they can't hide behind the rumor and innuendo. I said it's out there. I said it's a fact, and now there's scrutiny on them giving me a fair shake. So how about that as an idea to making sure that they look at him on the merits because he put it out there on the table? Yes, I am gay.
Well, I still think it does more harm than good. That's almost like Maurice Claret getting drafted and giving back his sign-up bonus to prove he can make the team for his ability, and they didn't have anything invested in him, and I think it backfired. Well, I think it's best to get your money first. Go where you're going to go in the draft. I don't think GMs draft based off of rumors. Now, once they get cold-hearted facts, then that's a different story. Once you come out to your teammates, it's not a secret anymore. I wrote a red light. If you don't say anything if you don't want everybody to know. Bottom line in life, there are no secrets. You tell somebody something, it's going to go. But if you tell 100 guys, and then by the time you leave there, the word on the street is out there. It's not even the word on the street. You confirmed it to your teammates. That's not going to stay in-house with 100-plus people. And then once you move on to the draft, and then GMs and head coaches start calling Gary Pinkel, figuring out, hey, tell me about Michael Sam. What kind of guy is he? Well, first of all, he's playing for the other team. And then you'll say, oh, wow, oh, okay. So people's jobs are on the line based off of what they know about you. So it wasn't going to be a secret. He didn't have to confirm it to everybody in the world, and especially he didn't have anything to prove at the Senior Bowl other than the fact that he could play football. See, if you keep your mouth shut and you're homosexual and you ball and like you play well, they're going to draft you. They're not going to say, well, we heard some things about him. They were saying the same thing about Manti Te'o, and he went in the first round. So, there were rumors about him, but he got drafted strictly off his workout and off of his tape. The rumors didn't matter. So sometimes it's better not to know and have people guessing and wondering. Get your money, get drafted, because now they can use that against him. And it won't be based solely off that, because there's probably, what if you're a superstar? What if Matt Stafford said, I'm not tolerating this? He's a $100 million guy. Somebody like Megatron said, yeah, I'm with Stafford. If this is the way the Detroit Lions are headed, trade me now. And now you got GMs are saying, oh, well, I'm not taking that kid. It's this guy. I'm going to go with my superstars over this guy. But if he never said anything, once he got in the locker room, it's a different story. Then his play would speak for himself. I just don't like the fact how he came out with it. I think he jeopardized his NFL career. Everybody's going to say all the right things on camera and in the paper, but behind closed doors, that's where you'll get the truth.
Yeah, and so that's kind of where I wanted to go with it to kind of wrap it up. You said you personally, Marcus Ray, the NFL player, would have no problem with it, but what kind of issues do you think he's going to have? Is it going to be a big locker room issue for him, or has the locker room progressed to the point in the aftermath of Richie Incognito, that whole Jonathan Martin, Richie Incognito thing that came up, that now people are looking at locker room etiquette and atmosphere? Do you think the locker room is in a place now that is going to do much better with Michael Sam, that his transition isn't going to be as rough as it may have been in years past? And what do you think it's going to be like on the field of play and with the fans?
Well, what I think it's going to be like in the locker room, there's going to be a lot of jokes about it, believe it or not. The NFL is full of a lot of young guys, 25 and under, who don't care, who have money. Guys are going to be in the showers, with the shorts on. And then some of the older veterans won't care. They'll walk around without their clothes on, get in the shower, stand there, talk to Michael Sam while they're in the shower together, and say, hey, great practice. What did you think about that cover two? And then, the same, I think this is something that's going to pass, just like everything else does. It'll get its time in the sun, and then it's going to disappear. But I think whatever team he plays for is the only team that's going to have to deal with it. I think the fans, some of them will give him some problems. There'll be some people yelling out slurs at the stadium because, number one, people do that when they want their team to win and they get in the minds of other players. But it's not going to be an easy transition, but he seems like the type of guy that's ready to take on the challenge, win, lose, or draw. And whatever team he goes to, it should not be a distraction, but it will. It will initially until people get to know him. He's going into the most violent game, the most quote-unquote masculine, manly sport, professional sport in the world, where we're taught to be tough and we're bred a certain way, and he's openly walking into something, a challenging situation, and people are going to prejudge him. But just like Missouri, they rallied around him. He came out. And he ended up being co-defensive player of the year and took them to the SEC championship. So, hey, I always say, you have to transform your challenges into opportunities, and you got to convert your pain into prosperity. And that's what I was telling those young Wolverines yesterday too.
All right, that's great stuff. Great way to close out this segment with a ray of light. And I say, man, it's gonna be a lot more. It's always, I'm sure, good for you to wear maize and blue when you go back home. But after Michigan knocked off Ohio State last night, we're gonna have a little more smack you can talk when you head back to C-Bus.
I know, man, because, see, on social media, I can't really pop off like I used to, because I get paid to service all 12 teams in the conference. But I'll tell you right now, that was a big win. If I wasn't at the alumni mentor dinner last night, I would have been down in Columbus rooting on my beloved Wolverines. I love how they fought back and they scratched and clawed. I was impressed with Walton and the way he plays with ice water in his veins. And Stauskas was Stauskas. And, just to win down in Columbus or anywhere on the road in the Big Ten is awfully tough. So I thought it was a must-win to stay, tied for first place or sole first place, whatever it is now. But Michigan has been on that stage, man. But I would have been down there. It would have got a little rowdy because Ohio State fans don't like me. I don't like them, and it's no secret. So down in Columbus, it's always going to be something. Hopefully next year when I'm on the sidelines working those games, I'll ask Urban Meyer something real jacked up and trip him up, and then I'll look at a couple fans like, y'all remember what it is now. Don't act like I didn't come down here about 16 years ago and slap some people around. So you know what I mean? But I just like to have fun with the fans. But now that I'm a grown man, it's a little bit different. But I would have definitely had my maize and blue on, and I was extremely proud of that basketball team.
All right, Marcus, tell folks where they can get their hands on and how they can get their hands on Rays of Light.
You can always go to mden.com. You can walk right into any MDN. They're carrying Rays of Light Volume 1 and 2. You can also go to Amazon.com and order from there. And you can go to iBooks, for all of my avid online readers or digital book readers. You can go to eBook, iBook, Amazon Kindle. If you need a speaker, if you need me to show up, make an appearance, do anything, you can call me, 734-645-9618. Also, you can email me at mray29@gmail.com. So the Rays of Light, they're here now and forever. Volume 3 will be out this year, and everyone's going to love that one. That right there is going to take this whole movement over the top. Excited, man, and this is my off season as far as broadcasting is concerned. That's why I'm in the gym. That's why I'm spreading Rays of Light on the radio. Man, with PKA, and just doing a little bit of everything, man. Staying busy. So I appreciate the platform, fellas, and as always, go blue, man.
All right. Well, Marcus Ray, we appreciate your time.